Hello and welcome to Business 7. My name is Jeremy Duddy. I'm joined by my colleague.
My name is Philippus Usiku. Very excited to be here.
Indeed, Philippus, we've got a jam-packed program for you. It was budget day, so stay tuned. We're going to unpack it all for you. We'll be right back.
Connection. It's in the human touch, the feeling of belonging. It inspires us and empowers us, creates clarity from complexity. It starts new conversations, unlocks the power of advice, and makes an impact on your life. At Alex Forbes, we pioneer insight to provide you with advice that connects your decisions of today to your impact tomorrow.
What a hectic day, Philippus. It's always like that, budget day. Are you also nervous when it's budget day?
Yeah, it's always an exciting day for all Namibians because that's when the public finds out on how the government intends on addressing their issues.
But also for the media, I think in particular, it's an adrenaline rush because of the deadlines, and there's so much information that needs, that we have to get out so incredibly fast.
Yeah, very true, and it's a lot of excitement because there are already speculations. So it's always exciting to find out what our policymakers, what plans our policymakers have for the public.
A few highlights that stood out for you, because Philippus was our man in the studio doing the tickers on the live broadcast, so you were on top of that situation the whole time.
Yeah, it's a very interesting budget. I think one of the key highlights is the upward revision in revenue. It seems like there's some good work being done there at NAMRA, so kudos to them. On the expenditure side, it's the increase of pension grants. Obviously, Minister Iipumbu Shiimi already hinted about it in the midterm budget review, as well as the increase in the disability grant. So I feel it's really good because you are shielding the most vulnerable segment of the society. As you saw, the inflation figures that were released by the Namibia Statistics Agency came in at 7% in January. And obviously the high borrowing cost, the bond recently increased the repo rate by 25 basis points from 6.7% to 7%. So yeah, I feel it's really a good move. And then the much talked about issue over the years is obviously the development budget. There were always criticism that the development budget is only getting a tiny portion of the overall budget. And development budget is very important because it creates opportunities for the construction sector. It creates employment in all sort of industries, which will be crucial in the production of goods and services to boost output, to export. So yeah, for me, so that was my really key highlights.
Well, we're going to play you a clip. Philippus Usiku was joined by Ashwin Mberi shortly after the budget was tabled, and they summarized this, and we've got some very interesting infographics for you.
What are your thoughts?
Yeah, overall, I think it's a very positive budget. Really speaking to the needs of the public. This time around, it was themed economic revival and helping the poor. One of my key takeaways is we have seen old age pension grants increasing by 100 Namibian dollars.
Wow. Okay.
So the pensioners will now have 1.4 thousand in their pockets, effective this upcoming financial year. And we have also seen an increase in in the grants for vulnerable children. That's the ones under 18. It increased from around 4,000 to 1 point something. So,
okay.
Yeah, and then on the revenue side, I think revenue is doing quite well.
It's going well. But
And,
now, is it like, you know, when you have water in a bucket, but the bucket's got holes?
Yeah, so revenue is doing quite well with SACU revenue accounting for a really big chunk. And it seems like tax collection is really doing well. So kudos to Namibia.
And his
Yeah,
team, yes,
so
indeed.
they are doing a great job. But what is also concerning for me, as much as our revenue is doing well, we keep spending as
Those
well.
holes in the buckets, the ones I was talking
And
about.
debt keep escalating,
Yeah.
as well as the deficit. It's reducing at a slow pace, but yeah. So those are really my
All right.
key takeaways.
If, like, before we get into the infographics, for the average Namibian out there, do you feel that they should be optimistic right now? Are you feeling any optimism?
Yeah. So yes, I feel it's obviously a very positive budget. If we have to look at the growth figures, Namibia is expected to record its best growth since 2015. That's
Wow.
now in 2022.
Okay.
We are yet to receive the figures from the Namibia Statistics Agency. But the minister forecast the domestic economy to have expanded by 4% in 2020, and obviously to moderate to about 3.2% in 2023. So I think we should be positive about the budget, and great things are ahead.
Okay, great things ahead. Of course, when we're talking budget, we're talking numbers, we're talking analysis. Let's get into some of the infographics from this 2023 budget. GDP actuals. How's it looking, Philippus?
Yeah, we can see for the financial period 2022-2023, revenue GDP is estimated at 204 billion, and for the upcoming financial year, it's estimated at 205 billion. So it's an increase there. So it shows that they are really upbeat about the economy, which is obviously it's expected to be driven by the mining sector.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on. Revenue, of course, we're talking about this.
We're talking about revenue. Our
Yes.
revenue is doing quite well.
Wow, that looks like the highest it's been in at
yes.
least a decade.
Yeah. And if you look at 2020, okay, from 2021/2022, from 55 billion to 64 billion.
Wow.
And it's obviously expected to reach 74 billion.
Wow, what do you think is responsible for this surge?
Yeah, like I said, it's the boost in SACU revenue, and also the compliance by individual taxpayers as well as VAT.
So this is what it looks like when we pay our taxes.
Yeah. So, but interestingly, people didn't expect new taxes to be introduced, but for the beer lovers, for the cigarette buyers,
yes,
for the wine lovers, Finance Minister announced an increase in those products. So effective today midnight. So.
Wow.
For the beer lovers, you only have...
You know, at the beginning of this, he said it was an optimistic budget. I'm not hearing much optimism, right?
Yeah, so those taxes were really not expected, but obviously it will also boost the government revenue.
Yes, I mean, you have to admit it's quite the consolidation considering 2020 to 2021, possibly touching to 2022. There was a bit of a contraction, obviously, due to COVID-19, and to see that surge, starting last year, heading into next year, I think is certainly something to look at. Yeah. All right, moving on. It's expenditure. Now you see that number? That number is looking a little bigger than the other number.
Yeah,
let's talk about it.
So obviously we have last year already there was an increase in salaries of civil servants. So that sort of already pushed the expenditure figure up. And some people were still speculating that they might get maybe an increase because 2024 is an election year.
Oh my
goodness.
Speculating.
Yes. Campaigning indirectly.
Yeah, I mean,
but,
because...
surprisingly, we didn't see that. We only saw an increase in old age pension grants and the grants for vulnerable children. Yeah,
because I mean, if you're looking at the expenditure for 2022, 2023, it actually matches the revenue, which is projected for 2023, 2024, and then it goes to 84.58 8. That I'm not really good at mathematics, but that sounds like a bit of a minus to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you look at the expenditure, you would realize that for the operational budget for the upcoming financial year, operational budget is already about 66 billion.
Wow.
That's about close to 80% of the overall budget.
My goodness.
So yeah,
there's a lot.
And it has always been a talk in the past years that the development budget is not being prioritized.
Joe Marie and I were talking about it earlier, because the development budget obviously comes after this.
True.
And it's the one which usually takes the L's, so to speak.
So most of our budget goes to the operational, of which most of it goes to the social sectors.
All right, okay, moving on. Debt.
Big elephant in the room.
Oh, the hugest elephant in the room. I mean, yikes.
So yeah, for the upcoming financial year, debt is expected to reach 150 billion. And I was looking at the figures, that's about 70% of GDP or so. And just interestingly, a few weeks back, the Institute of Public Policy Research came out to raise its concern that the government is not adhering to its debt target,
yes,
which was set in the financial year 2012-2013.
Is this Carl Schlatwein was still finance minister?
Yes, I'm not so sure, but
not sure, okay.
The target was 35% of GDP. Now it's expected to reach 70% of GDP.
Yes.
The target is more than doubled.
Doubled.
It's more than doubled.
Wow.
So really, it's the figure looks very scary, and we're just talking about the development budget to say, when funds are allocated to the development budgets, that's very important because you are giving opportunities for the construction sectors, you are creating employment for the citizens, and you are also creating industries so that you can produce goods and services and also export the surplus, which is important for foreign exchange. And those funds can be used now to pay that debt. And also on the revenue side, we're expecting that now that revenue is doing well, we thought probably that revenue would be used to pay some of our debt.
Yes.
But we see that as much as revenue is increasing, we are also increasing expenditure.
My goodness. Yeah, certainly a lot to look at. In fact, this is specifically what we're talking about, the budget balance itself.
Budget balance.
And its minuses across the board.
Yeah, it's. I think the last time Namibia recorded a budget surplus was during Dr. Sarako Wongelwa's time, and that was a bit way back. But for now, I don't think what we should be talking about is really budget surplus. It's about how we can reduce the budget balance.
Balance, yes. I mean, of course, it's doing slightly better than 2020 to 2022, but that's understandable.
Yeah. So we are doing quite well. So I think we can focus on reducing the deficit. And one interesting thing that I've picked up in Honorable Shiimi's speech is that we have now replaced the fiscal consolidation term with fiscal sustainability.
All right, that's a very interesting semantics there.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, it's always good to have a positive outlook, but that's an interesting change of words, kind of, shifts the meaning in our minds. True. You're saying that, look, yes, there's a big bucket. This bucket is full of water. There are holes in the bucket, but we also have some plasters here and there.
Yes.
We can kind of consolidate it, and ultimately you think the Namibian citizen should be optimistic.
Yes, because you need to remember that as much as we have certain resources, but sometimes our needs outweigh
the resources. Yes.
So sometimes we will find ourselves in that situation where we are recording budget deficits because our needs are more than what we have.
Well, we certainly hope some kind of balance can be created.
Definitely.
Thank you very much, Philippus, for always sharing your expertise in the field of economics.
Thank you, Ashwin.
All right. So Philippus Usiku was talking to us about the 2023-2024 budget, which was just tabled by Honorable Minister Iipumbu Shiimi. He says we should be optimistic. Of course, we should be keeping an eye on everything that's going on. From me, Ashwin Berry. Stay well.
Philippus' business is not only booming and alive in Namibia, but also in the rest of Africa. So as always, we bring you the weekly business highlights in Africa as supplied by Reuters.
Here's what's made the business headlines in sub-Saharan Africa this week. Diamond company De Beers is confident of maintaining its long-standing partnership with Botswana, a company official said on Thursday. President Mokgweetsi Masisi on Sunday threatened to walk away from talks on the extension of De Beers' mining rights in the country, unless Botswana got a larger share of revenues. Congo State Auditor has demanded an additional $17 billion of investments from a 2008 infrastructure for minerals deal with Chinese investors, a report seen by Reuters has shown. The deal is currently being renegotiated. China's embassy in Congo said on Friday it was shocked by the state auditor's report, which it said was full of prejudice and did not correspond with reality. MTN Group will invest $1 billion in Ghana over the next 5 years, the mobile operator said on Wednesday. That's after the government exempted MTN's Ghanaian unit from tax claims worth about $773 million. South Africa's state-owned freight rail utility Transnet has resumed limited services on a key line linking it to trading partners across southern Africa after it was damaged by heavy rains last week. The Northeast Corridor, which mostly moves chrome, ferrochrome, phosphate and magnetite, links South Africa to Eswatini, Zimbabwe, Mozambique, Zambia and the Democratic Republic of Congo. And finally, Endeavour Mining has sold 200 kilograms of gold from its Mana mine in Burkina Faso to the West African country's government, the company said on Wednesday. Endeavour is the biggest gold mine in Burkina Faso, a country which is funding a battle against a rampant jihadist insurgency. Gold is a universal means of purchasing foreign currency to shore up reserves.
There's no doubt that the SME sector in Namibia is an extremely important part of our economy. In the studio with us, we have got Sepo Haihambo. She is the Chief Executive Commercial at FNB Namibia. Welcome and thank you for joining us in the studio.
Thank you so much for having me.
The main topic of our conversation is going to be the SME Recovery Loan Scheme, which was recently launched. Sepo, just for the layman, just sketch us the background again. What is this? How did it originate? And what is its purpose?
Okay, so it originated during the COVID-19 lockdown period we experienced in 2020. Bank of Namibia recognized that due to not trading during the lockdown period, small businesses were adversely affected. So a COVID-19 loan relief scheme was introduced, whereby SMEs could apply for facilities at commercial banks to help them with funding requirements that resulted from not trading over lockdown. However, we have seen that the economic impact of what happened through the lockdowns has been relatively extended in terms of duration, and therefore this scheme has now been revamped into an SME economic recovery plan, extending the loans that are available to SMEs through the scheme, with some changes to the fundamentals of how the scheme operates.
We'll get back to the detail of that in a little while, but you work with SMEs and business on a daily basis, so you must have some insight, some profound insight in what the state of small businesses in Namibia are at the moment. Can you give us a little bit of an idea?
Okay, so coming out from lockdown, across the board, across sectors, there was some negative impact observed. But as we've gone back to normal economic trading scenarios, we see that recovery is starting to pull through in some sectors more than others. We see hospitality, tourism, transport and logistics bouncing back quite strongly. But in areas like construction, maybe slower still, but we are still seeing green shoots across the board, which is encouraging to say the least.
Indeed, the term green shoots becoming a favorite in Namibia over the past couple of years, and we're always happy to see them. Coming back to FNB Namibia specifically, you're in full support of this scheme. Why do you think it's so important?
Well, first of all, as FNB, as the Bank of the Changeables, and how we operate, essentially our brand looks to support our customers when change happens. We can help. So it was key for us to participate in this scheme that's been rolled out by the Bank of Namibia. We've won a number of awards across the globe as the best banking brand.
Congratulations,
Thank
indeed.
you very much. And the Banker Award as best bank in Namibia. So it's very much a part of how we do business and why we wanted to be part of the initiative.
Okay, let's get down to the nitty-gritty of the SME Recovery Loan Scheme. How does that look at FNB Namibia? The details. What do you need to do? What are the rules? That type of thing.
Okay, so the minimum application size of a loan is 50,000 Namibian dollars, capped at 10 million Namibian dollars, but the amount that you apply for will depend on the turnover of your business. So for businesses that have turnovers of up to 10 million, they can apply for loans to a maximum of 5, and for businesses with a turnover up to 60 million, they can apply for a maximum loan of up to 10 million. We do need to have an understanding of that you're in good standing with the receiver of revenue.
Yes.
The scheme is backed by the Bank of Namibia, therefore government and taxpayers, so it's important that you have a good standing from NAMRA, which they provide. And we look at the customer's business plan, cash flow forecast, and we make the facility available throughout the country through our commercial bank relationship managers.
Okay, so if you want to, if you're interested in this, how do you go about it? Where do you go? All branches?
Contact your local FNB branch, ask to speak to a commercial relationship manager, and they'll gladly assist you in getting the support you need. If your application is a little more complex, then we'll get a larger team to support your application, but it's relatively straightforward. We've rolled out the scheme. Our staff are aware of how the scheme operates and how to support SME businesses looking for these loans, and we're here to help. Please engage with us.
Well, great news. That's exactly what Namibia needs right now and what Namibians want to hear at the moment. Thank you very, very much for your time and all your effort, and best of luck with the scheme.
Thank you so much for having me again.
Thank you so much to FNB for this opportunity. Thank you so much to FNB. What an experience. I never got to do shopping in 5 minutes, but look at all this.
Every day, you make choices that make you legendary. Journey together with us on the path to securing your legacy as a member of the League of Legends. With the Select Platinum Bundle Fee Premium Bank offering, you will access tools that will enable you to thrive. If you earn 850,000 Namibian dollars per annum or more, you can apply for this offering today via bankvinted.com.na for only 447 Namibian dollars per month. Bank Vinted, a member of Capricorn Group.
Philippus, thank you so much for joining me in the studio tonight. It has been an absolutely hectic day for you two, so thank you very much for making the time. From us, until next week, it's goodbye.